Well, hello again to all of you wonderful people of all different types and what you want to be. My name is Sam and I welcome you back once again to another episode of my weekly series of Weird Mind Newsroom. We're in a bit more of a quieter week, given it is a bit of a national holiday stateside, of the selection of new releases, trailers and news stories that the world of media has to offer. So let's not waste too much time on small pleasantries and let's get talking all things media for another week that we are thankful for.
It's called a hustle, sweetheart.
We're starting off this one with the first of the small selection of releases of the week with a focus more on something with a massive scale and scope in mind of creatures of all shapes, sizes and looks, and a story that's about to see things get a whole lot hairy and some changes to this land that may change the society forever. As after nearly a decade since the original entry, it's time to return to this anthropomorphic society as with the release of Disney's newly yearly release with Zootopia 2. The new film will be set about a week or two after the events of the original and will see Judy Hopps and Nick Wall find themselves on the twisting trail of a mysterious reptile played by Ke-Huy Quan, who will arrive in Zootopia and turns the mammal metropolis upside down in the process. To crack the case, Judy and Nick will have to go undercover and test the limit of their partnership to solve the mystery across the vast lands of the city and beyond before everything falls into chaos. Now, reception on this new follow-up has seen some very strong positive reception, with being the strongest for Disney's in quite some time, with praise of its animation, its story, characters and themes that the project focuses and tackles on overall, and being a worthy follow-up to the beloved original. If you want to check it out and return to this world for yourself, you can catch his new film out now in cinemas. For our second and last film for this week is more in the approach of a biographical movie and more in the realm where the usual fare is of the caliber of a musician or some over-the-top thing that happened in the real world, but this one is going more in the focus of a sports realm aspect with a name you may not overly well know, but the person playing them may be more known lately for some more debatable opinions about them, as we receive the release of the true story of a boxing legend known simply as Christy. The film will tell the story of Christy Martin, that's played by Sydney Sweeney, known for one of the most successful female boxers of the 90s, and will chronicle her rise to sport in that decade, as well as her fall, her comeback, and the focus by surviving against the attempted murder by her husband in the 2010s. Now, reception on this new biopic initially was very well received when it came out around the press screenings, but it's been a bit more of a mixed reception as it came out. As well, the performances of Sweeney has garnered a lot of praise for the most part, with a bit more mixed opinion on this from other stars online. The film has seen a fair bit of issues in relation of a mixed outcome in tonal cohesion and emotional impact. But if you want to see the story of a survivor, then you can watch this new film, also out now in cinemas. And our last is the god damn, I hate when this system keeps turning myself upside down here. But the last new releases and the only focus of the TV shows this week is the one show that many a fan have been waiting for a very long time to see coming about and has been making everyone's world turn upside down. As we once again have one last adventure in the town of Hawkins, as after 3 years, many delays and some possible behind the scenes drama, we have the release of Volume 1 of the final season of Stranger Things. Now, the final season will see the final battle of Hawkins and the rifts between the real world and the upside down opening, causing a chaos and a military quarantine on the town where the gang will unite to fight Vecna, who has gone missing since the end of the last season, and his plans are currently unknown, which complicates the mission and will lead to them battling a darkness that looms that is more powerful than ever before. Now, reception on the first volume seems to be well received, which like the other seasons by critics, with praise its own setup, reveals and other elements that has potential to work to a solid final season compared to the other Netflix shows' swan songs, and seems to be an agreement from audiences as well. As myself, I'm kind of a bit conflicted. I've watched the full volume so far and feel a little conflicted on some things, a bit all over the place in some aspects that hopefully will be fixed by volume 2, but I guess we'll see over time. If you want to check it out for yourself, then it's able to catch volume 1 now on Netflix, with the next 3 episodes releasing Christmas Day and the finale on New Year's Day. Okay. And with all that regards, that's all the new releases that we have for this week.
I'm going to kill you and then kill you again.
Now for the first of our 2 trailers is taking us to the realm of animation, and from the studio that has been paving the way for a unique mixed blend of animation styles that's inspired many other studios to follow suit. But in this case, it's keeping close to the visual tradition with a big film release of this week, but more in the sports-based world full of humanoid animals, but proving that in this case for the big leagues that size doesn't matter and can achieve great things in the process, as we have the release of the second trailer for the all-new Sony sports-based animated movie of GOAT. And the film will focus on an all-animal-based world and society and will follow Will, played by Caleb McLaughlin, a small goat with big dreams who gets once-in-a-lifetime shot to join the pros and play Rollerball, a high-intensity co-ed full-contact sport dominated by the fastest, fiercest animals in the world. His new teammates aren't thrilled about having a little goat on their roster, but Will's determined to revolutionize the sport and prove once and for all that Smalls can ball. So I've mentioned before in passing, the likes of my interest in sports is kind of indifferent, as I could not care too much about much sports in general. I can't do with the likes likes of films that have some elements of sports and focus, and this one seems to have the appeal to me in some capacity. Mainly realms of having some interest to an animated style, I feel it could have some appeal and potential and some entertainment and a nice sort of message to overall. I can say this looked like it could have some fun entertainment from it and be well worth the time and effort put into the project from the animation side, and could surprise me a lot more than I expected to. But I'm sure we can see how this will come about in due time, as this film will be playing ball when released in the cinemas from February 13th of next year. And for our second and final trailer for this week, we're moving away from animation to the acclaimed studio of A24 for something with a bit more class, style, and presumed bloodshed. As it would question if you were a lost descendant of outcasts from very powerful and rich family lineage, it would bring the question how someone would go about to get back into their graces or take all the wealth and fortune for themselves, which seems to be the case for what this film is setting out to do. As with the release of the trailer for the new film that was initially known as Huntington, the new movie now known as How to Make a Killing. Then the film will follow Beckett Redfellow, played by Glenn Powell, who's disowned at birth by his obscenely wealthy family, and when he learns of their fortune amount, he will soon stop at nothing to reclaim the inheritance all to himself, no matter how many relatives that gets in his way. It really seems in all forms they are really giving Glenn Powell a fair amount of screen presence as a leading man, and I can see this being something that could work off well enough in the performances in its own, with this nearly feeling a bit close to one of the more recent and popular films of Hit Man that he did on Netflix that came out a year ago. But from the look of the project, it has some appeal and potential. I'm sure it'd be made worth a watch and could be another hit for the studio of A24, who've had a bit of a mixed bag this year, most to say, but I'm sure we can see how it all turns out when the film releases in the cinemas from February 20th of next year. And with all that regards now, that's all the new trailers that we do have for this week.
I am the babysitter.
Okay, so news now, and the focus of our stories in this week is mainly in the realm of a selection of some mixed assortment of films, from reported castings, announcements, a delay or two, and some reported rumours that are also floating about, all from discussions that this week has provided to be brought together to give a focus to discussion. So let's delve into it then, shall we? And we start off with the only story that has the focus of some date changes. Earlier this week, it was reported that the second season of Daredevil Born Again is supposedly no longer releasing on the 4th of March next year, and the date has not been set as to when this new season is now expected. Now, it's a case I'm sure if this was confirmed from the beginning of season 2 was released set in stone for 1 year after Born Again season 1, but I'm sure if it was and has seen the delay, that is some reasons for it. With one in focus to all being that the other Marvel show releasing early next year of Wonder Man, as a release schedule I have no idea on what the approach is. I think it's like a 2 or 3 episode premiere. I don't know if it's all at once or if it's a 2 to 3 episode premiere at the end of January and then like releasing a new episode every week up to that would go past the 4th of March, but it's kind of unknown. But I guess we'll learn about it more in 2 months' time. Another aspect could be the usual element of making sure that visuals, production, and everything is solid so it keeps the tone well and has people that were a bit hesitant about the season come back to it and feel like the original Netflix series all over again, and the usual elements of some reshoots that are given to every Marvel project at this point, but it's kind of unclear. Now at the moment there have been no set release date for this yet, but I'm doubt it won't be too overly long after this initial date, but if anything does come up, I shall provide that in a later episode. And then we're moving with rumors first before we get to the new projects and castings. This one seems to pop up in discussion here and there over the last few years, and this one was kind of brought up at the end of last week but never got around to talking about it. But some reports have come about a certain wall crawler, as according to some rumors, it has been discussed that a possible third Amazing Spider-Man movie may actually be made after all, and we'll possibly see Andrew Garfield returning for his own trilogy conclusion. Personally, while this is still reported rumor, I think this is well due to get his own trilogy. The other two Spider-Men have both gotten their own trilogies, and Tom's getting his quadrilogy, and I think it'd be well worth a chance to get his love and appreciation again after all this time. Now, also, as I mentioned, this is just a rumor right now, and nothing has been made official, but if anything does come about this project, I shall provide that in a later episode, of course. Then from project rumor to casting rumor, we're talking in the likes of a video game adaptation, and more specifically, the casting of the next edition of colorful characters in the 4th Sonic the Hedgehog movie. Now, if you recall, if you've watched the last film and stayed for the credit scene, just a bit of spoilers here if you haven't seen Sonic 3, then the next entry has been the focus of the planning of introducing 2 new characters for this next entry, which is of course Metal Sonic and Amy Rose. And it's with the focus of Amy that is the discussion for this story, as there's been some reports of a possible casting of the character, with the actress rumored to be voicing Amy is with Anna Kendrick. Now, there's no confirmed source on this, and most of this information is going off of the rumored aspect that most of the cast and director of the Sonic films recently followed Kendrick on some social media apps. And that's been a case that sometimes with these followings on social medias, usually some people give us a sense that this is who's going to be cast in upcoming projects and stuff like that, or who's working on the people's favors. In all sense, if this is confirmed confirmed, I would not complain on her voicing this character, and either have her or Kimiko Glenn, who voiced Penny Parker in Spider-Verse or Nifty in Hazbin Hotel, to voice them. Now, as I mentioned, this is all rumors and not reliable sources, but if there's any updates on this, I will provide it in a later episode as well. Now, connecting slightly to the last rumor, which in the next story is they were looking for a certain type actress for that role, but there's been some discussion with other actors of wanting to make some proper adaptation of a classic fairy tale story. As reported earlier this week, that actress Anya Taylor-Joy has expressed interest in wanting to make and star in a proper take on the classic story of The Little Mermaid, one that is less Disney approach and more in the realm of the original darker story by Hans Christian Andersen. And personally, I can see it work, and I can see her do well in this role if this is either to be made, and in the case of this, is the only way I feel would make something this elaborate visually striking would be well in the entrusted visionary of mind created, which you can see from either Robert Eggers, who's done Nosferatu and doing Werewolf, or Guillermo del Toro, who just did Frankenstein, to create this vision, as we have a lot more family-friendly version of the story, and I feel it's time to get a bit more of the faithful and darker adaptation. Again, as I mentioned, this is all just in the realm of speculation and interest and rumors, and not confirmed as of yet. But if the case, if this goes ahead, I should provide that in a later episode. But hopefully it does. Now, from rumored stories to official concepts, we start onto more casting lists. And in this first instance, we're getting a little bit more spooky this time around, as we're talking on another trip to a new take on a classic horror story, as we have a focus on a new interpretation of the franchise of The Exorcist. Now, this will not be the next part of that Believer film series, as that one crashed and burned heavily after just part 1. But rather, this will be a new, fresh take on the franchise from horror author Mike Flanagan. And since you've already garnered a new cast addition, as was announced this week, that Scarlett Johansson will be the first cast for this new movie. It already seems she's joining a lot of franchises or projects lately after her time in the MCU as Black Widow, as she's joined the Jurassic series with talks of a sequel to Rebirth, a possible stint in Disney live action as Mother Gothel in the Tangled remake, and one for some horror, which I can see in curious nature to see what she could bring to a film or series like this in general. Now, at this moment, there's no idea when we may see this new take on the original novel, but I'm sure if there's any new news about it at all, I'll provide that later as well. But now, from horror to animation. Though some will say the slightly tweaked redesigns, it's close to staying in horror. But they did do an Exorcist short story about this, but in all regards here, we have some more new news about everyone's favorite green ogre of Shrek, as it was announced of 2 more new cast members joining the upcoming 5th film of this series. Now, this is not from any new additional fairy tale characters, rather it's a duo of characters already seen in this series already, and that's the casting of the other 2 triplets of Shrek and Fiona, of Fergus and Farkle. As was announced on Thursday, that Farkle will be voiced by Scarlett Gisondo, who you may know as Jimmy Olsen from this year's Superman movie, and Fergus will be portrayed by Marcelo Hernandez, who you may know as an SNL cast member, or from that show as his character he portrayed in that series of Domingo. This is quite the choice casting of characters, but in all fairness, I will take it over the usual castings of roles like this in these projects, and going off the first tease of what they look like from a Macy's parade balloon, I can see it will fit the look. Now, I say it will be a little bit before we see these given their lines, the characters' official look and motion, or how they will fit into the narrative overall, but I'm sure we'll get a clear idea before this film's release in late June of 2027. Then, from animation to adaptation, we're talking on another new project that has seen its fair focus of announcements a while ago, but has since been a bit quiet for a little bit of time. But that'll change this week, as we've got an official first big news relating to the new Netflix series adaptation of Assassin's Creed, as you're given the first official casting, and this is with the actor of Toby Wallace, who you may know from The Bike Riders, portraying the lead of this series, or co-lead. Now, in this case, I'm unsure if he portraying the main assassin of the set time period, which is supposedly ancient Rome, the rise of Romulus or something like that, or if it be the likes of Desmond Miles and he's the one plugged into the Animus, but I'm sure we'll get more of an idea of what setting of placement he'll be part in due time. Now, at the moment, it's only early days. I'm sure we will see what more casting this series will well have as well, and we will be able to see it, but once I do hear anything more or any new updates of the castings or release window, I'll provide that in a later episode as well. Now, from casting to new project announcements, we are staying with adaptations of games and also staying with the same studio developer, as it looks like another popular series from this said studio is getting the TV show treatment. As was announced this week, the new series based on the Far Cry series is coming to FX and will be helmed and developed by Alien Earth showrunner Noah Hawley and from Always Sunny creator Rob McElhenney. Now, of course, like Assassin's Creed, this is not the first time this series has been made to adaptation, as least we forget uʍop made this film version that tried to tie into the original movie or series the games back in early 2000s. But it'll be interesting to see if this series will get more of the approach of a new season of characters in locations with them following the game's narratives, or be doing a new storyline for each with unique and eccentric villains for each season, but I guess we will see how it comes about as it develops. Now, similar of course Assassin's Creed, this is all early days stuff, but once you hear anything about this project later down the line, I should provide it in another episode. And now this last one, I didn't really want to talk on it much as a connection to the world of politics, but given the project that is supposedly coming from it, I'll make the exception and tiptoe around the nonsense, as it's supposedly announced this week that we may be getting a 4th entry in the Rush Hour series, and I'll be seeing the original duo and director supposedly all back for another round, with the push of this being made from the annoying orange man that runs the US. Now this is where I question this will have some appeal, or if this is set up for disaster. As well, yes, Jackie Chan is a legend, he's not the young man that he once was in the original trilogy. Chris Tucker has been quiet in the media scene, for his last appearance being the 2023 film of Air, maybe due to his connection to a certain array of files. And then director Brett Ratner has been seen as a disgraced person after multiple assault allegations by multiple women back in 2017. So this feels like a disaster in the mix. It makes sense in the director of the man that pushed this to be made for them to have the things that are alike. Now it's hard to tell if this will have some appeal of the likes of the Bad Boys or Beverly Hills Cop, but I'm sure we'll see what comes about this in due time. And if there's anything that does come about this, or when we expect it, I'll provide that in a later episode as well. But with all of that now, what do you make of all these stories? When do you expect to see Daredevil be released now? Would you be down for a third Amazing Spider-Man movie? Do you think Anna Kendrick is a great choice for Amy in the Sonic film, or who else would you cast instead? Would you be interested in a more darker Little Mermaid take? Are you excited for ScarJo to appear in the new Exorcist film? Do you think the choices for voicing Shrek's children are being solid, or who would you have chosen instead? What time setting would Toby Wallace portray the new assassin? Would you be down for a Far Cry TV series? And do you see a 4th Rush Hour movie working in itself? Let me know what you think of all these down below in the comments, and we'll discuss about it all there. And with all that regards, that's all the news stories we do have for this week.
Mouth breather?
And in case with all that regards now, that ends episode 132 of Weird Mind Newsroom, and I hope you enjoyed the always continuous ramblings of Matt, a questionable emotional state, but loves to ramble on media till the cows come home. Let's talk on what's coming out on this channel over the next little while. So let's get on to reviews. So I've been writing a bit more about The Last of Us 1. I am going to get into starting on the Hazbin Hotel Season 2 review, maybe the Wicked review, and maybe get 1 or 2 other ones, try and get them done by the end of this year. Trying to aim for that stuff. I'll upload those other free Snackless box office ones I have currently right now ready to go. I'm just going to figure them out. I'll probably have them ready to go soon enough, and then I'll get into other long form, short form stuff and here and there and all that stuff. So look forward to those in due time. Gameplay wise, I'm going to try and record a few more this week in this regards. Maybe do some more Star Wars or Cyberpunk or Donkey Kong or Mario Wonder or something like that. Or maybe starting something new. Maybe something like PC, like Ventilate or some other game and stuff like that. I'll figure it out in this regards. Or maybe you let me know what you want to see me play over the next like couple of weeks or something like that. And then some long form stuff, and basically the AI audience choice video, that's still going to come along eventually. The rewatch-a-thon is coming along. Townsville I should probably have out this week. I'll hopefully get aim for. I'm going to start writing probably maybe from tomorrow. I'm going to get the Game Award nomination stuff sorted out and have it out by next Thursday. Not this coming Thursday, the following Thursday on the 11th when the show comes on. But hopefully have them out and try and predict sort of close to it. I have some ideas of things, but yeah, we'll look over that case of things. And in other forms, the long form stuff like Harmless Born and everything else, they're all coming along. So look forward to those. But anyways, I think I should leave it there for now. So if you like my content and want to see more from me more frequently, then simply like and subscribe. So I upload stuff every single week, and I'm aiming for, as we're ending December, I'm aiming by the end of this month to try and get to 500 subs. We are 20 away as of recording this. We're at 480, so any support and appreciation will be greatly appreciated in this regards. I hope to hopefully get to 500 subs to be starting to new year with that, and then get to 1,000 by the end of next year, but or maybe even earlier. We'll see. Let me know your thoughts on everything that's discussed this week down below, from the new releases, the 2 trailers, and of course the many news stories we had this week. And let me know your thoughts on any in particular, or if you have any other stuff that I may have missed, let me know down below, and I can always throw it in next week if I forget about it, because there's been 1 or 2 I've forgotten about the last week or 2. But in this regards, I'm gonna leave the episode there for now. So as always, you all stay being wonderful people. Have a great day every day, doing many great things, and keeping you because no one else can do what you do. Also, of course, as well, if you want to get yourself 10% off Pure Crack, let me know. You can get the link down below with my code Sam Harrison, get 10% off in delivery. But in this regards, I'll leave there for now. So as always, I've been your host Sam. I shall see you all in the next one. So take care. I'll see you later.